Okay, so Paul, I'm looking at your answers here, and I'm comparing them with the the sheet that tells me that if 4 items are scored in certain columns, it says it's very likely that that individual has ADD. So, wrapping up final details, trouble wrapping up final details of a project, difficulty getting things in order, remembering appointments or difficulty remembering appointments or obligations. When you have a task that requires a lot of thought, how often do you avoid or delay getting started? How often do you fidget or squirm with your hands or feet when you have to sit for a long time? How often do you feel overly active and compelled to do things like you were driven by a motor? And wrapping up the final details, and this sheet too indicates the same thing: fidgeting, uncomfortable in prolonged situations, restless, trouble sustaining concentration, feeling on the go, talking excessively. Well, actually, you haven't been doing that at all. Do you answer questions before the questions have been completed? You haven't done that here. Difficulty waiting your turn, interrupt or intrude on other people. Anyhow, careless mistakes, sustaining attention. So, as I said last time, if you're willing, I will give you the names. Which insurance do you have?
Blue Cross.
Blue Cross. I have the names of a couple of physicians, psychiatrists that are still with Blue Cross, and I'll give you their names and set up an appointment and tell them why you're there. And they might have you do something simple like this also.
Right.
And if you want me to, and you've made an appointment with someone, I will call ahead and give some background. I'd be happy to do that if you want me to.
Okay.
And then hopefully you'll be willing to experiment and find out if you get some relief. And you may notice it yourself, but I bet you Lisa will really notice it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe it's my reporter's background here, but isn't this like overdiagnosed? I mean, this whole thing with ADD. I mean, you know, I listened to the list, and when he was filling it out, and when I was trying to remind him to fill it out, I mean, some of that stuff applies to me. I mean, I fidget all the time. I mean, I jump from one thing to another, and some people say that our brains are being rewired to be ADD or addictive oriented. I mean, it's sort of like an addiction, right? ADD?
No, not at all. Right now, they say it's pretty much hereditary. And so the next question that I would have is, are any of the other people in your family kind of like you are with respect to these items that we've talked about?
I think, somewhat.
Well, you give me the answer somewhat a lot. Let me check with Elsie. What do you think?
I think his dad, definitely. I mean, when you go to visit there, sometimes it's like there are 3 different conversations going on at the same time.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like, and you say somewhat. If you asked me that about my family, I'd say no. What about your family? Doesn't sound like that's happening in your family, or at least not your dad.
No.
What about your mother?
I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
they just would ignore you. They just wouldn't. It wouldn't be like they would say that they'd listen to you and they wouldn't listen to you. They'd just ignore you.
Mm-hmm.
If they ignored you, or else they'd listen to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, I hope you guys don't mind that I brought her out here. We hear the whining, and I know that that distracts you. So there she is in all her glory. Anyhow, so let's move on. Your family, maybe,
Right.
genetic, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I tend to not, when you say, does your family have this, I tend to not be absolute about things. So,
Oh, yes,
I mean,
I
I
know.
agree with Lisa. I think my father is probably the most likely, he tends to, jump around a lot, like you said, and kind of goes on tangents and things like that. And I think my brother has similar kind of,
Ah, your brother
he had a
too.
lot more trouble in school than I did. So I don't know if that's
Okay.
another symptom.
Another indication. Uh-huh. Could be. Yes. So I think that I'm hopeful that you will experience some more success in being able to control all of your activities so that you'll have more time for Elsie. Maybe.
Right.
But part of it is the difficulty in organizing and prioritizing. But something else needs to be discussed, and that's really whether, and here comes my other dog, and the question really is whether she's your priority.
Right.
She's number one.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think it's clear she doesn't feel she is. And I don't know if you think she is. Do you think that Lisa's number one in your life?
Well, I try, but then sometimes she pushes me away, so I don't know what to think. Is it too much space, or not enough space, or be closer, or help me more with this, or let me do this myself. I'm trying to get change my career, and I need more space. It's mixed all the time, so I'm always trying to guess what to do.
Oh my. Mm-hmm.
And it feels like that's been going on for a while. Not because I think when we were spending more time together, it was happier. We were. It was more. I mean, to go to your question, it's not that priorities have changed. It's I'm trying to figure out what. I'm happy to spend more time. That's why I'd like to. That's why I came to these sessions, and I'd like to try to make this work. It's important to have a relationship, and to make the relationship work for both of us. But sometimes I just don't know what to do. Most of the time, I don't know what to do these days. And of course, now this affair is hurt. I mean, I'm not sure what to think of that. I'm not sure what to think.
What do you think about?
That doesn't sound to me like I want. Maybe it is attention. I don't know.
Her wanting attention?
I guess, yeah. But does she want attention from me? I don't know. It doesn't. Maybe that's not what it sounds like. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the problem is, yeah, it's true. Okay, it's true. Sometimes when you ask I want to talk, I don't want to talk right now. Or sometimes when you want to do something, I don't want to do it right now. But part of it is it's just built up for so long. When I couldn't depend on you, I had to make other plans. And so I got more and more discouraged, and so I didn't make plans. And I'm kind of like, well, whatever you want to, what do you want to do? Oh, I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I mean, because I didn't want to hope for anything because I thought it would fall through. And frankly, sometimes I just want to be away from it. I don't know if we'll ever get back what we had. And I mean, I feel like I gave you plenty of warnings. I said, this is what I need, or please do this, or this is the last time I'm going to ask you to do that. And you didn't come through for me. And I don't know, a person gets worn down. It's like the boy who cries wolf or something. I don't know. I mean,
Paul, what do you want from Lisa?
I like to spend time together. I think, and maybe it's, you know, along the lines of the ADD, that sometimes I think she helps me to, you know, keep in mind what's important. It helps me to focus on something that, and I think that helps me to be better. And I like that. It helps me to be a better person, that I can.
I'm
And
tired
she
of it.
pushes me to.
I'm
to do
tired. I'm
things.
not your mother, okay? I'm not your mother. I'm not going to make sure that you have your raincoat with you when you go out in the rain or something. I'm not. I'm tired of it. I mean, I like to be helpful, but I just, you know, I'm not here to balance your checkbook. You know, that's not my job in my life.
I don't ask you to do that, and I don't need. But that's not what I mean. I think you know that.
But that's what you said. What you need from me is the help. You know, you need me to help you do this and help you do that. I mean, if you could get one of your friends in the outdoor club to do that, would you need me? Would you want me around? I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm pushing you away, but I don't feel any joy. I mean, I don't feel like you really care about me anymore. You don't choose, you say you want to spend time with me, but you don't choose me. You choose other things.
One of the things you said that you like about Elsie is that she helps you to be a better person, that she's your teacher or your guide or your mother.
I don't think I said that. I mean, she said the mother. I mean, I think of
But-
it more as she's a good person. She does a lot of good things, you know.
But she helps you remember things, and shouldn't you be remembering things on your own?
But I mean, I think I remember a lot of things. I'm not. I don't consider myself like really forgetful. I try to write a lot of things down.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean I always remember, you know,
Yeah,
every
but
little
your
thing
lists are like 10 miles long.
She doesn't feel that there's an important place for her in your life. That's what she's saying,
Right.
and your behavior would tell her that. Not being home on time when you have a commitment for something because somebody else came in with an issue puts that other person above Elsie. Now, actually, you're not putting the other person above Elsie. It's just that you're unable to say no. That means maybe you're afraid of conflict, or you have some difficulty standing up for yourself, confronting someone else. But the end result of that is that Lisa's hurt.
Right. I know.
Now, either she stops being hurt and simply ignores or deals in some other way with your not being home when you say you will, or you have to find a way to be there when you say you're going to be there, because a fundamental of a relationship is trust.
Right. Right.
You must have thought in the past of ways that you would try to be home on time, right?
Sure. Sure.
But something always seems to interfere with it, or
Well,
often.
I don't think always. I mean, sometimes.
Enough
And it's-
that
and
she's
sometimes
really
it's-
upset.
And yeah, and sometimes it's the times, you know, I mean, I might be at home 4 days a week on time, but sometimes it's the, you know, 1 day a week and things.
Ah.
And I guess it's Murphy's Law or something, you know, like one day that if there's an accident on the road, or you know
Do
what
you
I mean?
call her and tell her?
I do usually, but sometimes it's you never know, right? You don't. It's like, okay, the traffic is clearing up. I need to make it, or I'm leaving and that person comes in right at the last minute. I think it's only going to take a minute. So, and sometimes I call. I mean, it helps now that I call. I have my cell phone. She's at home. She's been at home, but then when has been in her program, then she's not at home, so it's hard to connect. So, it's a lot of little things happen, and that's what I mean when, like, sometimes it's not. Things are out of your control.
I know, but that's what I'm
And
so. But if everybody was like you, okay, if everybody, I mean, maybe it was bad luck, but when I've had bad luck, or when I have, when you're late and then I'm later and then we're later and then we're later, things just don't happen, and I can't live with that. That's the thing that drives me crazy, is that if I'm there and I'm ready and I plan for every possible thing to go wrong and I'm like the good little wife or whatever to do everything, then maybe, just maybe, we'll actually get done what we plan to do. But
I think you're better at remembering the times that I'm late than you're better at remembering the times that you were late.
maybe.
Did you read her article?
I did.
And
And we talked about it.
yes?
I mean, it actually, kind of helps me to remember because it's from a few years ago, and the different kinds of, the things that were going on in those days, both between us and the amount of work she spent on it, and the things that were happening in industry, in the internet. So
Did
was
you
good.
enjoy it?
Yeah.
The conversation?
I did. I didn't enjoy it as much as I would have enjoyed it back, a few years ago, but I appreciated that he took the time to look at it. The thing that bothers me, I think, right now is that, first of all, I feel like I'm complaining all the time still. But the thing that bothers me is that he tries to fix something and make it okay so we can get to the next thing.
What
And
do you
then
mean? I don't understand.
it's like,
What do you mean, fix
well,
what?
Okay, when he went back and read this article, I had to remind him a couple of times, are you going to read it or whatever? And then I was very upset, and I got really angry, and I put my foot through the wall. I lost my temper. But after that kind of aftermath, then he read the article, and then we sat down and talked about it. So, sort of like he was trying to make better for that, for my temper tantrum. But then, the next thing I asked him to do, he didn't do it,
Well, your temper tantrum is your responsibility.
I guess so.
Your temper
But I
tantrum.
didn't used to be like this.
Which makes me think, Elsie, that you feel at wit's end. You look very sad when you're in here. Are you doing all right at your job? Or
It's going along pretty well. It's low-level work, and I feel a little bit redundant, but I'm glad to have a job right now, and I think it might get better. It's just starting over again. You
yeah,
know?
the first couple of weeks,
Yeah, I've forgotten what it's like.
just getting back into a routine.
Yeah.
are you, do you laugh and have fun with the other people that are there when you're at work? Are you cheerful? And
Well, they barely have started inviting me to lunch with them. I feel a little isolated. A lot of them are a lot younger. I knew that when I was in my program, too. Most people on my level are, mid-level management or higher.
do you get much exercise?
Not as much as I probably should.
Well, you seem depressed to me. and these bursts of anger. And are you sleeping well?
No.
Are you eating well? Have you been losing weight or gaining weight?
Well, losing weight's usually a lot harder than gaining weight. I tend to eat like lots of sweets and stuff when I'm upset.
Okay, all right. So I think that you're depressed. You know, the way you filled out the form when you first came in, we haven't talked about that because we're on these other things, but it came out as a moderate depression, which would suggest to me that you need to be careful about what you eat, a good diet, that you need some exercise. You may need something to help you. Well, I will teach you what sleep hygiene is, but for you to be able to get to bed and get a good night's sleep, that's sort of a number one. If you don't get good sleep, everything falls apart. And so you're having trouble with that. Maybe that's even contributing to your low mood, and you look like you have low energy.
Yeah, I feel like it.
So I'm thinking about all the things that you might do to to improve to lessen the depression. But I'm thinking that it might also be a good idea to take some medication. Yeah, it's okay if she gets up there. It's all right. If you don't mind, is it okay, or does it bother you?
No, it doesn't bother me. Are you okay?
Does it bother you to have her up there?
It's okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah, come here. Come on.
You're
Yeah,
not convincing me.
I'm just not a big dog lover.
Okay. All right. Come on over here, Scrappy. Come. Come here, Scrappy. Come on. Come over here, Scrappy. Good girl. Good girl. Okay. The same person that your husband goes to, or any one of the other 3 names that I give you, I would like you to see and talk to about how you're feeling, how long you've been feeling this way, which is a long time. Worse now, but it's a long time. And maybe the doctor would suggest an antidepressant for you to take temporarily to help you get through this period now. Because it sounds like Paul is going to try to make some changes. And if he does, even coming to talk to you about the article, but everything sort of isn't good enough, that's going to be very discouraging for him. And if you're having temper tantrums, it's your job to stop having them. And it might be easier, and you might be less vulnerable to your anger if you're taking an antidepressant medication.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of I don't want to get started on pills. I've always felt like I have some addictive behavior, and I just don't want to feed it. But
So far as I know, the medications aren't addictive.
okay.
And the second thing is that I'm really not saying you have to be on a medication forever. But you guys are in a crisis now. This relationship is in a crisis. And I would like to help you get through the crisis where you can think more clearly, not so emotion driven. And in order to do that quickly, I would like you to start with the medication. It's possible to improve depression with exercise and activity and whatnot. And that's all fine. But we're in a crisis here, so I'd like to jumpstart.
Yeah.
And once again, you don't have to stay on the medication, but something to make you a little less vulnerable emotionally, a little less volatile, a little more predictable. Because the truth is, your husband doesn't know what to do with these emotional ups and downs. And they're hard for anybody to deal with.
You've had a lot of stress in your program. And I know your sleep has gotten off, and you haven't exercised. You're been away from your exercise program, and so I think you're feeling a lot of stress, you know, and
Yeah.
maybe it will help.
So you're both then going to do about the same thing. You're going to get a second opinion, right? And hopefully, well, let me see. I'll give you the names now. And hopefully you'll get an appointment fairly soon. Once again, if you decide who you're going to see and you make an appointment, if you want me to, I can call and give the doctor some background. And
Should I take those forms or?
you can if you want to. You can. Although it doesn't, they're not, well, I'll make a copy of this
That's
one
okay.
too.
I
So,
mean, I guess you
because
said I
he
might
wouldn't
fill
know
it
how
out
to
again.
score these without the score sheet.
Yeah.
But this one has its own scoring on it, so you could take this one. And I will write down
Thank you.
3 names. You're very welcome. I'll write these names down. And as soon as you've made an appointment, Venus, they don't need your attention. Venus, come over here, sweetie. Right over here. Good girl. Let me see. Okay. Stay right where you are. Yes, I love you too.